Hey folks, Rich here at RCINFORMER.com. Thanks for checking out this video on the Cirrus SR22T from GreatPlanes Model Manufacturing. This is one of the newest planes in the GreatPlanes lineup, and it really is just an outstanding replica and representation of the production airplane of the Cirrus SR22 Turbo. Now this is an ARF, guys. It has a beautiful, beautifully painted and very well manufactured fiberglass fuselage, all built up wings and tail, and most of the work on this airplane is already done for you. The ailerons, flaps, rudder, all are pre-hinged with nylon steel pin hinges. In fact, the only gluing you need to do is gluing the horizontal stabilizer in with a spar, hinging the elevator with a torque rod and nylon steel pin hinges. The only other piece that you do glue is the wheel pant onto the nose strut. The rest of it is all nuts and bolts, and everything goes together really nicely. Now, because this is an ARF, guys, you have your option for equipment in there. You can go with a glow motor or an electric motor. There's so many different manufacturers and sizes and things that will fit in here. I'm using the recommended setup, and the beautiful thing about the recommended package is it all fits nicely. I'm using the Rimfire 55 brushless outrunner, Flightpower 60 amp speed controller, and the Flightpower 3600 and 3350 6-cell packs. And again, guys, the nice thing about that setup is it all fits. All the Futaba servos, the recommended servos, fit in here beautifully. Now, this is a 5-channel airplane: ailerons, elevator, rudder, flaps, and throttle. And if you have a 6th channel, it has a beautiful lighting package with a landing light, wingtip lights, and they give you a 3 or a triple Y harness with a little printed circuit board that you can plug all the lights into that, plug that into a 6th channel, and you can operate your lights on and off from any switch on your transmitter. Otherwise, you have to Y harness it in, and you can still use the lights without a switch. But it's a very nice switching feature that they include with the airplane that really enhances the model, being able to turn the lights on and off, because they're very brilliantly lit and they just look fantastic, guys. Now, I have a couple of recommendations for the airplane. What I did with mine to give me a little better ground clearance on the grass, I went with a 1310 prop, and I changed my ESC timing to high. Again, it gave me better ground clearance, and I found, as you'll see in the flight demonstration coming up, the plane just flies fantastic with that setup. And I actually burn or consume and draw about 46 amps, which is about 3 to 4 amps less than the stock setup with the 1410 prop, which is about 49 to 50 amps. The other recommendation I have, guys, is to set up the flaps with a takeoff setting as well, which I'll talk about more at the end of the video. But all the control surface and flap throws worked beautifully on this airplane, guys. Now, this is part 3 of a 3-part series on this airplane. I'll put links at the end that you can check those out. There is an unboxing of the airplane, and there's also a build guide on the airplane to help you guys set up the airplane and get it going. Now, the instructions for this airplane, like all other GreatPlanes airplanes, are to the letter. You can follow them, and they really help you get the airplane going. But I have some recommended items, where to put batteries and so forth, and just some setup tips. Also, in the build guide, guys, I'm going to show you how to put an arming switch on this airplane. If you're flying this airplane like I am as an electric airplane, when you put your battery in and you close you connect your battery to your electrical system, and you close your canopy and bolt it in, well, the airplane's now armed, and to get at the battery, you have to unscrew it and so forth. So an arming switch is a good idea, where you can put your battery in and have the plane disarmed, and then just use the arming switch to energize the airplane. It's just a much safer way to do it. Check that out in the building guide, and it'll show you how to do it. Anyway, guys, without further delay, let's get on to the flight demo of the Cirrus SR22T from GreatPlanes. As I taxi the Cirrus out for takeoff, I'm going to go ahead and put a takeoff setting of flaps in. It's about 10 to 15 millimeters of takeoff flap. The landing gear on this plane is real rigid, so it'll bounce around a little bit on grass, but it's a real solid set of gear. All right, as I line the airplane up on the runway here, I'm going to go ahead and advance to full power. As you can see, the airplane lifts off real nicely. Flaps are coming up. And I'm going to bring the airplane back around. and give you guys a slow pass down the runway so you guys can get a close look at the airplane. I'm back to about a third throttle. This airplane has a high aspect ratio wing, almost like a glider wing. So it gets a lot out of a little bit of throttle. Outstanding flying plane. Now I'm going to go ahead and show you what a no flap landing looks like on this. Again, this wing is kind of like a glider wing. Right now I'm at idle, and the airplane just glides and glides and glides. You can see how it has to really bleed that speed off. The reason I'm showing you that is because flaps make a big difference in this airplane because of the like I said, the high aspect ratio wing. Now I'm going to go ahead and put full flaps in and show you an approach with flaps. I'm at about a third throttle now, and you can see the airplane slows down much nicer, and you can land in the first third of the runway now. So flaps really make a big difference in this airplane. Give it a roll here. The plane's very aerobatic as well. Now I'm going to turn it up a notch, guys, give it full throttle and bring it by for a fast pass. Lots of speed with a Cuban 8 at the end. I'm going to pull up. Roll it around. Very crisp performance on this plane, guys. I'll do a Cuban 8 at the end as well. Outstanding flying airplane, guys. Now I'm going to head to the center of the field here and give you guys some steep turns. This plane really does everything nicely. I mean, it really just performs well, does everything smoothly. Steep turns are about a 3/4 throttle maneuver. You want the throttle up there a little bit. And this plane does them with ease and very smoothly. Outstanding. I'm going to depart to the north. All right, and I'll bring it around to the center line of the runway again. And I'll give you a loop right in the center of the runway. Pulling up. And you can see how nicely this plane does that. Now I'm going to do a turnaround here at the end. I'm going to come back down to the center of the runway or on the downwind and give you a series of rolls. Outstanding performing airplane, guys. I'm just real impressed with how this thing flies. Now as I get to the center line of the runway here, guys, I'm going to roll it upside down for you. The inverted stability of this plane is just unreal. Bring it back to the center. Just outstanding, guys, how this thing does that. You can fly this plane around inverted all day long. Now I'm using the factory recommended CG for this thing, and the factory control throws on high rates right now. And you can see how stable of a model this is. Now I'm going to roll it around at the end, and I'll bring it back down the center again. I'm going to go ahead and put the plane up into some point rolls. Outstanding performance, guys. I'm going to do a half Cuban 8 at the end again. Absolutely outstanding, guys. Now I'll go ahead and slow it down here a little bit. Give you another slow pass around the center. Sort of a presentation pass. Show you the top of the airplane. Just a gorgeous airplane, flies great. Real impressed with this model, guys. Now I'm going to bring my power back to half throttle, and I'm going to bring it in for a full stop landing. 1 setting of flaps, 2 settings of flaps, and we'll bring it on in. Those flaps really help out with that high aspect ratio wing. It really helps you bring the airplane down nicely. All right. Flaps are coming up. All right, guys, that concludes the flight demonstration of the Cirrus SR22T from GreatPlanes. Again, guys, as you saw from the flight video, it's just an outstanding performing airplane. It just does everything well. It does normal flying nicely, nice landings, outstanding aerobatics, very crisp, very precise control. This is definitely a keeper, guys. GreatPlanes definitely has raised the bar and definitely has a winner with the SR22. Now, again, guys, just to reiterate a little bit, I'm using a 1310 prop with high timing, and again, that's the setup you just saw flying, and I just get tremendous performance out of that setup. Now, regarding the flaps and landing, as you saw from the video, without flaps, this plane will just glide and glide and glide. So the flap setting, the flaps on the airplane are really useful for landing. And of course, the recommended 1.5-inch travel on the flaps is outstanding for landing. But what I would suggest doing is on your transmitter, find a 3-position switch, and on the 8J, I'm using this one right here, and set in a takeoff flap setting. I used 1 notch of flaps for takeoff. What I use is in the up position, the flaps are 0. 1 click down, I get about 10 millimeters of flap travel, and that's an outstanding flap takeoff setting like you saw just in the video. It really helps the airplane get up into the air in a much slower distance and a much slower speed. And then, of course, 1 more notch down gives you full landing flap. So that's a real great way to set it up on a 3-position switch. Anyway, guys, once again, like to thank you all for checking out RCINFORMER. Thanks for checking out this video on the Cirrus SR22 from GreatPlanes, and we'll see you next time.